Well, the message today is entitled The Next Steps. And I think for many of us, having come through the last 3 years with all of the interesting ups and downs and whatnot that has gone on, it has created maybe an opportunity for us to be struggling a little bit with, what to do and how to do it. In the Unity book for Lenten season, today is called Denying the Power. This is the fourth Sunday of the Lent season. And in here, she writes about whether we realize it or not, we are often stuck in old stories that have deep power over us. Many of these stories keep us in the terrible twos: too old, too unattractive, too broken, too ashamed, too unworthy. And we don't believe life can change. The idea of changing our lives means that we have to practice something different. And so it comes to that place of interrupting the patterns of old and sitting with something else. One of the things that I came across recently was a video called Gem, and it was about gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. And I thought, yes, those are the steps that we need. That is exactly what's going to take us into a new reality. When we focus on gratitude, we're present. We sit in the moment and we go, wow, well, I'm grateful for today. And I did an interview on Friday with my Joy show of a woman whose life blew up in a really big way. She was engaged to the governor of Oregon. So she was the first lady of Oregon and got accused of doing some really bad things. Turned out they were all wrong. Didn't change the fact that her life blew up. She woke up in the morning and there's the press surrounding her house. She made it even into the tabloids in England. The story was so big. And for 2 years, she struggled and fought to get her name cleared. She had to deal with the FBI. There was all kinds of challenges. And it turns out there was nothing. It was just a bunch of baloney. But here's how she dealt with it. When sometimes things like that, and I know I can't even relate to the fact of having the FBI beating down my door, or ripping through my stuff, taking away my laptops and, whatever else, that's beyond my ability to comprehend. But what she did in those moments was she would stop herself and she would take a breath and go, am I okay right now? In this moment, am I okay? All right, well, the FBI is outside, the media is outside, and I'm in my little house. I'm okay right now. And she would breathe into that, right? So she was doing two things there. One was being very mindful of what exactly was happening in that moment, being grateful that she was safe. And it is in doing those two practices that she was able to take the fear that was climbing and just bring it down and go, am I okay right now? When we think about next steps, we sometimes don't think about the importance of what we're thinking. And oftentimes we've got the old regrets running, the old story running, what happened then, there, who did what to who, we get all caught up in that energy. And that energy really is hell. That's the place where everything feels bad, awful. The minute we pull ourselves back to present and we look around and go, what am I grateful for? What actually feels good today? Well, here we are, 9 beautiful women having an experience together. There's something to be grateful for. Not everybody has this, so we can be grateful for this. And when we're grateful, we immediately start feeling a little happier. When we're mindful, when we're present, there's a greater possibility for joy. Now, joy and happiness always is within us. The ability to have it has never gone away. It's always been present. And we can turn into it in a number of different ways. But the easiest way is doing kindness. Kindness for another. The minute we do something kind, there's something that happens. It releases oxytocin and it makes us feel good. And kindness is always possible. And it can be little things, right? You let somebody in traffic. You know, you don't get upset when Zoom doesn't work the way you want it to, right?
Like,
We have the opportunity to go, what can I do right now that actually feels good to me and feels good in my life? And can I live in that? Can I take each moment as it is and begin with that possibility of this too is good? I've been studying Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was one of the teachers of the Fillmores and other New Thought leaders. And her thing was, there is only good. What do we all seek? We're all seeking good. Good finances, good health, good relationship, right? That's kind of what we're looking for, is good. But we're looking for something that's always been, but we've interpreted it through this lens that says, well, this is good and this is bad. No, it's all good. And I know you've heard that statement. It's all good because it's all God. Am I right?
it's all good.
It's all good because it's all God. So Emma Curtis Hopkins, that was her big saying. It is all good. Now we get a diagnosis from the doctor and immediately we go to, it's bad. We get, a bill in the mail we didn't expect, that we haven't budgeted for, and we call it bad. And remember, in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, God says to Adam, whatever you name a thing, that's what it will be for you. He didn't say that's what it would be for everybody. He said that's what it would be for you, or it said, right? I don't think God is a man, but think about that for a moment. What are the things we name? Oh, I regret this. I hate that. I'm so sick and tired of this. We've named things in a way that has created the experiences we're currently having. So if we change the names, one of the things I hear most often is, this is so hard. Well, there's another 4-letter word that really quickly replaces the word hard.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. Thank you, Patty. Easy. Yeah, we can use easy. We can drop easy in there. It's easy to do, right? This is so easy. Zoom is so easy, recovering from COVID, so easy, right? Everything's easy. When we speak the word has power. That's what we learn here in Unity. The word has power. What are we doing with our words? We take the I am and we put sick and tired behind it. No. We don't want to do that. I am good. I am healthy. I am strong. I am grateful, right? And gratitude is such a powerful thing, because that idea of gratitude, we were taught as little children to say thank you for everything. And when we said thank you, it was because we'd received something. So there's pathways in the brain that make the assumption that if I say thank you, it's because I've already got it. So if I sit back and I feel gratitude for my joy, gratitude for my health, gratitude for my well-being, all of a sudden it releases oxytocin. I begin to feel better. Nothing's changed, right? The world is as the world is, as it's been. And yet somehow I feel better. Have you ever noticed that? When you get into that place of gratitude, or maybe you're having the worst day ever. And then somebody you really, really love or admire or whatever, just all of a sudden knocks on your door or rings your phone. And immediately what happens? So glad to see. Immediately you become present. Immediately you become grateful. And in that moment, you immediately feel joy. Some magic there. Maybe not magic, maybe just the natural expression of life when we take those next steps and do them consciously, right? Unity is all about consciousness. It's creating a consciousness of oneness, a consciousness of love. And the Lenten season for me is about giving up the things that block me and stop me. So negative thinking, right? Well, I'm working on it. I'm not perfect. I'm working on it, right? So when the negative thinking comes in, because it's Lenten season, I go, oh, what am I giving up? Well, I'm not giving up smoking. I don't smoke. I'm not giving up drinking. I don't drink. I'm not giving up, eating what, might consider it, but I'm not doing it, right? But whatever it is, what I'm giving up actually is that negativity. And because I set an intention to do that, the negativity shows up. And what I do is I go, no, just a minute. It's not hard, it's easy. Life is not bad, life is good. And I see the good. I find the good, I discover the good. If I'm not seeing the good right now, then I want to take a moment of mindfulness. I want to stop and just go, am I okay? Am I okay? And what I discover is I am. And the minute I discover that, there's well, I can let go of the worry and the stress and the rerunning of the old programs. And I can begin again. And what's fascinating is that's when joy jumps in. So in this little video that I watched, I can't pronounce the gentleman's name, but it's called Gem and it's on Prime. When I watched it this morning, and he was talking about going to India and teaching. He didn't have a lot of money, so he needed to be able to get some accommodation and food and stuff like that. So he agrees to teach in this school. And so he arrives and he's not prepared. He's from Australia and he lives a good life. And he gets there and they go, oh, we'll give you your food, we'll give you room and board, and you can teach English to our students. And he's like, oh, this is like Christmas, right? Well, he gets there and we're talking living in little mud huts and stuff. This is not quite what he's used to. There is no electricity. There is no running water. They don't have beds. They sleep on the floor. And he shared, he said, I'm going to sleep. And he said, I turn my eyes and go, so Mr. President of the school, who happens to be on a mat right next to him, right? Like that's the reality of what it was. And he's like, oh man, I can, I know I said I'd be here for 2 weeks, but I actually meant 2 days, right? Because he didn't think he would be able to stay under those conditions. So he goes to school for the first day, and there's a little boy there who's got the biggest smile. And he's so grateful for everything. He's grateful that he's at school. He takes the teacher out and he shows them their playground. And there's a little broken down swing set. And I do mean broken down. And one little teeter-totter. And he's like, this. And he's so happy. And at lunchtime, they get a little bowl of steamed rice. And he goes to the teacher, he goes, this. And he's beaming. What this gentleman realized is when we are present in the now moment, when we are grateful for what we have, when we're willing to be fully present, joy is there. He had decided, so he did stay the 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, he had his bags all packed and he's ready to leave. And he has a moment of illumination, I guess I would call it. He ended up staying for 3.5 months. He discovered what it means to actually be joyful, to actually experience life in a very mindful and grateful way, but also to give kindness. And what he discovered is that every time kindness is done, it creates, again, a release of oxytocin, which again just fuels that feeling of joy that's always within us. So his process became, I'm going to be here to come to understand what life could be, what life really is actually when we get out of our own way and allow it to be, right? And if we think about it, we spend a lot of time thinking about the past. I hear often people going, well, COVID this, COVID did that, the lockdown did this, that big pause did that. And we get all that focus on what it was, yes. And now is, and what is now? Now, for me, I'm getting ready to go to, Unity Convention again in June. And last time I was there, I had a physical healing. I don't know what this year is going to bring. All I know is it'll be good. whatever it is, it's good, right? Because everything is. And so I'm not worried too much about what's happening in the future, but what I'm looking at today is what's happening now. What am I doing now? What's important to me now? Not in an hour, but now. What matters right in this moment, in this group? What matters now? And how do I feel right now? Well, I'm grateful I get to do what I do, that I get to be in prayer, that I get to be in meditation, that I get to share ideas that made my life better, right? Made my life better, because my life wasn't great. For most of it, it was pretty hard. I was a mom at 16, married to a very violent man, divorced at 18, not a lot of fun, unable to pay my bills, living on welfare, trying to look after this little child. I was a baby. I didn't know what the devil I was doing. Met another man, got married, had 2 more kids, had a job that hated it, but did it every day, that 9 to 5 grind, got to do the 9 to 5 grind. Was struggling in my marriage, 3 little kids. I'm 27 years old now, and my husband's gambling and not paying attention to me. So I was all sad because he wasn't giving me enough love, right? Of course, this month is all about love, but love, it means oneness. And I had an experience where I left my husband. I was staying at a girlfriend's place going, I don't know what to do. My mother-in-law phones me up and says, why don't you come to church with me tonight? Yeah, okay. I never went to church. I wasn't raised with church. The thought of going to church was very low on my list, especially of fun things to do. This was not a fun thing. I thought, well, I can endure an hour of this in order to get my mother-in-law to like me. That's why I went. So I go to this evening service at the Nazarene Church, and I'm sitting there, and there's a woman speaking on video, and she's talking about death and dying. And I swear to God, I died that night and was reborn. When I walked into that church, I couldn't see. I was living in darkness. When I left that church, it was like the lights had been turned on.
Wow.
I went from pain and suffering, and what I knew in that moment was Goddess love. It filled every cell of my being. I felt illuminated. I didn't know what happened. It was like I got backed over by a truck, but something beautiful emerged from that shift in consciousness, and it was deep and profound and life-changing. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I started reading the Bible, and I started talking to people about what is this God stuff? What is this Bible? And I would go to church. I would go to church on Friday night for games night. I'd go Sunday morning for Bible study. I would go to the Sunday morning service. I'd go to the Sunday evening service. I'd go to Wednesday night Bible study. Man, I was all in. I was all in. That was in February. And in May, they sent me to go to a missionary Bible retreat thing to talk to these missionaries. It was a conference of missionaries. And so I went there with 2 other women from the church, and we went and we met these amazing people and learned all these wonderful things. And we were supposed to report back, and we were told, you need to speak for 5 or 7 minutes about what you learned at this convention. And we come back, and the first woman gets up to speak, and she says, yeah, it was really great. Met some nice people and went and sat down. I had pages of notes. I'd rehearsed my talk every day, numerous times a day for a week. I was speaking to a church of religious people. They knew it all. I knew nothing. I had to do something really great, right? And so I had my pages and notes, and I'm sitting there, and I look at Nana, who's my husband's grandmother, and I went, Nana, like, I thought I was doing something wrong. And she goes, honey, you just do this. God is with you. She was a woman of devout faith. She was one of my most beautiful expressions of life. That woman, I loved her so much. Next woman gets up, does the same darn thing. She said nothing and went and sat down. And now I'm looking at Nana, looking at Papa going, and she's like, you got this, you just go. I'm terrified. I've never spoke publicly. There's about 50 people in the room, front row, all the teenagers. Well, I remembered my teenage years. They were not very happy ones. Teenagers are judgmental. They see through your facade. I was terrified. I get up there and I'm at the podium and I put my notes down in front of me and my hands are like this. And I'm holding on to the edge of the podium so that I can speak. Pastor's wife is seated behind me and I'm holding on and I read that first page and I go to turn the page and my hand is doing this and I can't turn it. And I speak for the next 7 minutes. I have no idea what I said. And I get down off the podium and I go to where Nana and Papa are sitting and I look around and everybody's bawling. And I don't know why. And Nana and Papa, they grab me and they hug me and they, oh my God. And I'm like, I don't know what happened. And as I'm leaving, the church pastor, who never showed emotion, never gave anybody a hug, grabs me up, gives me a big hug, and he goes, what a gift. To this day, I have no idea what I said. But what I know is God moved through me. That's what happened that day. And when I look at next steps in life and the journey that, I'm now 66 years old. That was a long time ago. That's almost 40 years ago. And it moves me today still to tears because it was so profound. And what I know is as I take next steps day by day and moment by moment, it's about feeling the power and presence of God, of being grateful for the moment because this is the only moment I have. None of us know what the next moment brings. None of us knows what tomorrow will bring, if it will even exist for us. But this now moment does, and we can connect heart to heart. We can connect in love and in joy. We can remember that this month of love is really that, and that the Lenten season is a reminder of the resurrection, of the ability for life to be reborn moment by moment because we get present with it and we put down our cell phones. I hate to think of what my hourly usage is of this puppy. It's like it's formed into my hand, right? But we set that aside and for a moment become present, begin to see one another, to welcome each other, to actually listen when someone is speaking to us, knowing that whatever they say has value and worth, to be as little children and simply show up like this little boy in India did, that he was just beaming with joy. This, look at this, teacher. So happy with the simplest things, and we have so much. We have so much, and yet we are so, oh, it's not enough. We live in the, if this happens and when that happens. But what if we just lived right here? What if in this season of love, this month of love, we take the power of love and see it for what it really is, which means unity, oneness, the very, name of this spiritual center, unity. And we come together with gratitude, present, just present, and choose to love, beginning right here. This tattoo that I have on my chest, the heart at the top, of course, represents love. And the spiral underneath is the symbol for the path to enlightenment. Enlightenment happens through love. It happens through presence. It happens through being who you are, where you are, and loving yourself completely, knowing that this is God. And how do you treat God in your life? With reverence, with gratitude, with grace, knowing that this is God. When I had that spiritual epiphany at 27, I was a heavy, heavy, heavy smoker, 4 packs a day. Coughing was what I did every morning for the first 20 minutes. Hacking up a lung, I used to call it. That's probably what I was doing. And day 6 of that epiphany, I had this awareness. This is the temple of God. And I didn't have the right to kill it. I butted out that last cigarette, never once had a craving, never once went back, and we're coming up to 40 years. Next February, it'll be 40 years that I butted that last cigarette. There's a power in this world. There's a power in life. And we can call it God, or we can call it good. We can call it spirit. We can call it the absolute. We can call it my dog barking, whatever we want to call it. God is the essence of life itself. It is the presence within us as us being us. There is no separation between me and you. There's no separation between God and I. God is like the wave on the ocean. We know it's the ocean. Well, you are God. You are that wave in the divine presence. And living that from a place of power and passion and possibility and beauty and wonder and awe is exactly what you're here to do. You're to live fully and completely without regret, without remorse, knowing that every moment is brand new. Every moment you have the power to make life beautiful, great, and wonderful. And that by practicing kindness, you lift yourself up and you lift the world around you. And it's little things, holding a door open, helping a mom on a streetcar with their little toddler who's in a stroller, saying good morning to a stranger, telling somebody how beautiful they look, smiling, just smiling. That doesn't cost anything. But it's amazing if somebody's having a rough time and you look at them and smile. I remember walking along a park one day with a friend of mine, and I come across a gentleman who's sitting reading the book, The Godfather. And I remember reading that book as a teenager, and I looked at him and I went, whoa, good book. He goes, oh yeah, it's amazing, way better than the movie. I said, yeah, I read that as a teenager when it first came out. He looked at me, he goes, it's 50 years old this year. I went, yeah, well, and he goes, there's no way. He said, you could be that old. And I looked at him and I went, I love you. He had such a laugh. And my girlfriend's kind of looking at me, but I'll tell you, I don't hold back love from anybody. I did not know this man. I've never seen him again. I have no idea about him, but you know what? In that moment, we had this beautiful, joyful connection. We both laughed and giggled, and it was connecting. And what COVID taught us more than anything else is what happens when connection is removed. It's back.
Mhm.
It's back. Let us connect with gratitude, with love, with appreciation. Let us connect. Let us remember that God is present being us right here, right now. Don't need to go get it. Don't need to go find it. We are blessed beyond measure. And as we live in gratitude, feeling empathy for those around us, being mindful of the journey that we walk and the way that we show up, life becomes the blessing that it was always intended to be. Next steps, just be you and revel in the magnificence that you truly are. God bless.
And you'll go to meditation now.
Oh, and so taking a deep breath in, just settling in your chair and getting very comfortable. Another deep breath. And imagine your heart expanding, opening, just opening out. That the energy of love can flow into you and out from you, that there's this circulation that's happening. And feel that connection. Feel the wonder and beauty of God as love, permeating every cell. And anywhere where there's an ache or a pain, it's soothed and calmed and released. And any feelings that might have been sad or hurt, anxious, all calmed and brought into a present awareness of the grace of God and immediately healed. And the idea of lack or limitation eradicated completely, denying the power of that. And breathing life into this moment. As love becomes a force that connects all of us, the energy of that, the acceptance of that, the present moment awareness of that brings immense joy. Feel that joy just bubbling up from inside. Feel that energy of life and possibility, that vibrant sense of connection. And breathing life into that. Just take a breath. So I know in this moment that the presence of God is felt, known, and realized, that it is the only thing that exists and it is good, and that it's right here, right here. So I welcome the awareness and the understanding, and I welcome the depth, and I'm grateful, truly, truly grateful. Grateful for this day, for this moment, for this opportunity, grateful for life and for living, grateful for peace and joy and love, grateful for a world that just gets better every day, grateful. Grateful, grateful. And it is in that gratitude that I open my heart as wide as possible, that I might share love infinitely, forever and continuously, not with some people, but with everyone. Knowing that love is the healing balm that changes anger into peace, that changes discomfort into comfort and creates celebration and joy and beauty in its wake. So in this grateful and comfortable state, I surrender this moment, I surrender this day. And I accept that all is well. All is well. All is well. And life is good and very, very good. And grateful for this truth, I release these ideas into the law of mind, knowing that it is done. I let that be my truth. And so it is.